Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is the Merman Master coming at you guys from the Team Time Riders Yugioh channel today with my official Shaddolls Invoked deck for the brand new Master Rule 5, which just came out, guys. This deck has been in the works for a little bit, but is very much one of those fun decks, and I just wanted to profile it because I'm going to be giving the Shaddolls stuff away to JB. But just wanted to show you guys the different kinds of stuff that I'm running. I want to make this deck extremely fusion-centric, primarily because it's just one of the types of things that I like a lot. I like the fusions a lot better than like the links and all of that kind of stuff. So I really wanted to make a deck that highlighted the fusions. And with Master Rule 5, I finally have the ability to do that. So guys, I'm going to show you what I run, and let's get started. So, to start out for Shaddolls Invokes right now, of course, we have to have the Shaddolls package, 2 copies of Shaddolls Squamata, 2 copies of Shaddolls Dragon, 2 copies of Shaddolls Beast, 1 copy of Shaddolls Falco, and 1 copy of Shaddolls Hedgehog for the original Shaddolls in the deck. You guys probably don't need to know what these guys do. You already know what they do, so I shouldn't have to explain it, but basically very good cards, and has a lot of utility, flip effects as well as effects with destruction by card effects. For the next cards that I'm running, of course, we've got the brand new cards. This is the Shaddolls Wendy, and she's actually really good because when she's either destroyed by a card effect or flip face up, she allows you to set any Shaddolls monster you want from your deck to the field in face down defense position. And as you guys know, you can use set Shaddolls monsters as fusion materials, which actually makes it really good. And her being a wind attribute is actually super helpful for a variety of different plays. And finally, for the Shaddolls, we've got 1 copy of Nail Shaddolls Ariel. Great for sending stuff that's banished back and helping that out, but not any more than 1 of her. Now, of course, with the Shaddolls, and because we've got the construct in there, we're running 3 copies. We've got the Clown Engine, 3 copies of Perform a Pal Damage Juggler, great for kind of like its Battle Fader effect, as well as for banishing it to add different clowns from your deck to your hand. 2 copies of Trick Clown, of course, for the extra special summon and for other different kinds of plays that you want. And finally, 1 Hat Tricker. Still haven't gotten his second effect off to get 3,300 attack, but he's great as just a free special summon and an earth body on the field for a variety of different plays. Now, finally, for the last of the monsters, guys, we have 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker. I like to call him a Laster, but you guys know why he's in here, because we've got the Invoked engine and it's coming in hot. Now, moving on to the spells. Because we've got that Invoked engine, 3 copies of Magical Meltdown, Instant Search of Alistair, as well as activations of effect that include Fusion Summoning can no longer be negated, and your opponent can't activate anything in response when a card is Fusion Summoned. So it works for both the Invokes and the Shaddolls. So with that out of the way, we've got, of course, the Fusion spells. Wouldn't be complete without 3 copies of Invocation. This is actually really important, guys, because Invocation is a card that can not only be used to fuse invoked monsters, but can also be used to fuse Shaddolls monsters as well. So any 1 Shaddolls and any 1 invoked can go into any like 2 or 3 different monsters in your extra deck. So it gives you a lot of use out of the cards. However, you gotta... It also has like an effect where it banishes whatever you fuse from the field and then sends whatever from the hand to the graveyard, but you can still use it as a normal fusion card, and then you can get it back to your hand with Alistair's effect. So it ends up being very useful for just trying to push for advantage. The deck lives and dies by your fusions, so you got to have them. Speaking of fusions, of course, wouldn't be complete without 3 copies of the OG Shaddolls Fusion. This card is very good for getting you a fusion monster, especially when your opponent's already assembled a board. This can basically toolbox any Shaddolls fusion monster out of your extra deck, which is very good. Construct, Winda, whatever you want first, second turn, this card can get it for you. Speaking of toolboxy fusion spells, both offensive and defensive, of course we have El Shaddol Fusion. Go for the OTK, trigger, send a construct to the graveyard or whatever, or any one of your Shaddol monsters, and then you can get their effects, since technically it triggers by sending them as card effects. So that ends up working out very well in your favor. But El Shaddol Fusion is a great card for popping the surprise on your opponent and can be offensive and defensive. Now, of course, 2 copies of Super Poly helps that most of your cards in your extra deck are, of a specific attribute, and you can toolbox into whatever attribute you like. Also, things get from the discard. Then we've got Foolish Burial in here. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, for the final 3 cards in the deck, 2 copies of the Shaddol Incarnation. Oh, I'm gonna move that down. This is actually, I like quite a lot because of its effect to be able to switch different Shaddol monsters on your field to get different effects. I think that's kind of cool effect that that most competitive Shaddol Invoke players just are not running. I think it's just really, really interesting, like utility-wise, and makes the deck a lot more fun to play. But the real effect that that you have this card for is that you target a Shaddol monster in your graveyard and special summon it in face-down defense position, and that can be done during either player's turn. So face-up or face-down defense position, which is very, very cool. And then finally, 1 copy of Shaddol Core. Super, super useful for getting your fusion spells and stuff like that back, and can also come to the field as any attribute. So, very good card, and not one to be looked over. That's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Now, of course, would not be a perfect deck without 2 copies of Shaddol Construct. I've never needed the 3rd copy of Shaddol Construct, but 2 actually works perfectly for, sort of the goals of this deck. You're just trying to get like all sorts of different plays and stuff like that off. But Shaddol Construct instantly sends something to the graveyard, and then also basically allows you to destroy any special summon monster at the start of the damage step, and like all Shaddol monsters, fetches you a Shaddol spell or trap from your graveyard back to your hand when it's sent there. Next, we've got 3 copies of the Winda. The Winda is very important for those first turn plays. Gotta have them. It's really, really good card, and wouldn't switch it out for anything. Definitely, definitely not. We got, probably should cut this number down, but 2 Sheks. Shek is pretty self-explanatory, like just helps with negation and stuff like that. You can pretty much only make this with the hat trigger, unfortunately. So that's one problem that you have with it. Next, we've got one of the new ones, El Shaddol Apgalone, who's really, really good because when it comes to the field as a special summon, and that's not just when it's fusion summoned by Shaddol Fusion, which when it's cannot be destroyed by battle, and then when it comes in, you can target a face-up card on the field and negate it, so good for outing the floodgates. And then when you when this gets sent to the graveyard, add a Shaddol card from your deck or graveyard to hand, and then discard 1 card, so you can instantly trigger a Shaddol effect if you want upon its destruction. Now moving on to the Invoke guys. Just one copy of Invoke Mechaba. I don't find myself going into the light guy as much as I do going into these dark guys, 2 copies of Invoked Kaliga. Really, really like Kaliga because it together with the Winda is a very, very good play. 1 copy of Invoked Raijin because you got wind-type monsters in there. So this is better than Wendigo, so worth it to run it just for that reason. Now, finally, Alistair, the Invoker of Madness, a really, really good link monster. Gets extra effects when you fusion summon in its own, and counts as Alistair for fusion summons as well. And the final 2 monsters, one of them's a proxy for the Almirage, because I don't have it, but it's supposed to be 1 Claw Sheep, 1 Almirage. Almirage is, of course, for the 1 card invoked play, and then the Claw Sheep is for the play where you do the invoked into Kaliga, and then you fusion summon again into Winda using the Kaliga, and then the Claw Sheep will special summon back the Kaliga from your graveyard to your side of the field in defense mode, and you have a really, really good setup at that point. So guys, that's going to complete this deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to rate, comment, subscribe to the Team Time Riders Yugi Tube channel, and I hope to see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.